Hello and welcome everyone. In this video tutorial, we will discuss about the concept of constructor and destructor in Python. So basically, both constructor and destructor plays an important significance in the object-oriented programming. So in this tutorial, we will discuss about the concept based upon object-oriented programming. So we will start off this video tutorial by giving an overview about what is a constructor in Python, and then we will understand what is a destructor in Python, and we will also discuss examples related to both of them. So without any further delay, let's jump to the very first topic. Now basically a constructor in Python is a unique method that is called automatically whenever an object of that specific class is being created. Now this unique class method in Python is been named as init. So we have already discussed about this init method. Basically this init method is a constructor itself, and it serves as a method that assigns value to the data members of the class. Now it needs a double underscore at the start and the end of this init method. The only difference between this method and the other method, this one method runs automatically when an object is being created. Moreover, we can define this method with or without any argument. Now let us see how we can define this. Now for the example implementation, I have opened my VS Code. Now what I will do, I will quickly create a class. So I will name this class as calculator. Now within the class, very first thing that I'm going to define is a constructor. So to define a constructor, I will define a function with name init, and here you can see double underscore is there in the starting as well as at the end of this function. Now the very first argument to this function is the self variable. Now what I will do, I will simply use a print statement within this, and I will simply type a string. Now let's create one more method. I will quickly create a method with name add that will take two arguments, x and y, and it will return the sum for both of them. So I will write self.x is equal to x. What I am doing here, I am simply fetching the value from the parameter, and then I will define a result which will be the sum of self.x plus self.y, and I will simply return the result. Now as I told you, a constructor is when initialized automatically whenever we define an object for our class. So let's define an object. I will name this object as cal, and then I will simply call the calculator class. Now let's use the print function to print the sum of, let's say, any two numbers. So I will simply define sum. Now I will use the object to call this add function, and here I have to define the value of x and y. Let me define the value of x as 32 and then 43 is the value for y. Now let's run this program. Now here you can see I haven't called this init method. I have just defined this, and only one string statement has been there in this. Let me open the terminal. Now let me run the program. So here in the result you can see first we got this statement that is a constructor initialize, and then after this we got our result which is sum equal to 75. Now the role of a constructor is to get executed whenever an object is being created. So if I don't even specify this print statement and then execute the program, at that time also our constructor is being initialized because we have defined an object. So whenever an object is being created, the constructor is automatically rendered. Now what we have done here till now, we have defined this default constructor without any argument. So self is a mandatory argument. So what we can do, we can also define parameterized constructor. Now what is this parameterized constructor? The constructor which accepts multiple single or multiple arguments. Now the key role of using constructor is to define initial values of the class method. So we will understand how we can do that. So what I will do, instead of defining the value for x and y here, I will remove this, and I will also remove this. What I will do, I will use the constructor to initialize the value of x and y, and I will remove this statement, and then I will initialize the value of x and y in my constructor, and the rest remaining add function will remain same. Let me uncomment this print statement. Now instead of specifying the value of x and y in the add method, I have to specify the value of x and y in the class itself. Now let's run the program. Now here you can see we got our result. Sum is 75. So I hope with this you all understand the concept of constructor and why we have to use them in Python. Now let's move forward and let's learn about destructor. So a destructor in Python is just reverse of constructor. Basically, when an object is been destroyed, a destructor is been evolved. Python includes a garbage collector that takes care of the memory management automatically. Therefore, a destructor are not necessary in Python as they are in C++. Moreover, in Python, a destructor method has been referred with the help of del method. When an item is garbage collected, it is called after all references to the object has been destroyed. So just like constructor, what constructor function was doing, it was getting executed automatically whenever an object is being created, and destructor is just the reverse of constructor. So it has been evolved whenever our object is been destroyed. Whenever the role related to our object is finished, the destructor is been initialized and all the statement given in that will be executed. Let's understand how we can create a destructor in Python. So I will keep all this code as it is, and after the add method, I will define the destructor. So to define a destructor, again I have to specify a function and I have to use the def keyword. Now to define a destructor, we use this del method, and the first argument will be self init. Let me simply put a print statement, and I will simply print this statement in my console, that is destructor is initialized. Now again here also you can see I don't have to recall this destructor, it will automatically be called. So let me open my terminal and again run this program. Now here you can see it has returned the sum, which is 75, and in the last it has returned the destructor is initialized statement, which I have specified in the destructor. So I hope with this you all understand the concept of constructor and destructor in Python, and with this we have also come to the end of this tutorial session. Thank you so much for watching this video. We will see you in the next one.